Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope each and every one of you are having a great day. From my last video, you guys know that I pretty much am in First Samuel reading. I pretty much was stuck in 16 because there's so much in that one chapter you can take away for yourself. But today I wanted to talk about connection and God remembering you. And that is in First Samuel, the whole chapter of 1, just reading it about Hannah. And we already know the story about Hannah. She basically couldn't conceive. God had a womb where she couldn't conceive. And of course, her husband had 2 wives. And the other wife did have kids. So, of course, Hannah wanted kids. Hannah was a very faithful woman, as well as her husband. They went every year to go worship and pray to God. And of course, the wife always, like some women do, make fun of her. In other words, make fun of her for not having a baby, taunt at her, whatever the case may be. But you have to go over there to read the whole entire story of chapter 1 in First Samuel. And today I just wanted to get up here because just like me, during this whole process of finding out who I am and allowing God to use me, it was not an easy process, and it still isn't. Some things that we prayed for, we still have not received. You're not going to receive everything, and especially if it's not lined up with His will. But some things you are going to receive. Most things you are going to receive as long as it's lined up with His will. Now, whether it's today or 10 years from now, it's all a process. It's all a process. And I have been going through mine for a while, like some years. And I think it's taken me longer because I do not have a mentor and trying to figure it out on my own, researching, reading, praying, listening to preaching, doing what I can do to feed my inner self to make sure I am doing what I'm supposed to do, and allowing God to develop me, not doing something I want to do, because I never asked to be in front of you guys. I never asked to be on videos. My personality was shy. And I can see the things that He's doing in me and pretty much where I'm going. You know what I mean? So Hannah went and prayed and prayed and prayed. This particular day, she went praying, asking God to please remember His maidservant, His servant, because she wanted to conceive. And she made a promise, if you give me a child, I will give him back to you. With that being said, a lot of us ask God for things and we make a promise, and I'm guilty of it. I am so guilty of it. I made promises that I knew I thought I was going to keep but didn't keep, and it was just repeating itself until God convicted me one day on it. Especially with fasting off of cigarettes. I'll get up and say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to fast, and it doesn't work that way. Or either before I matured in God, I would, after I prayed and, oh, well, this light bill is paid, you go back doing the same thing that you were doing. I remember one incident way back. I don't know. I just, as I look on my life now, and we have been in a few drug busts. And as I look back on it now, I'm like, you know what, God, you are so faithful. You are so faithful. My life and my freedom could have been taken away from me. But God did not give me what He thought I deserved. He gave me a chance, and chance after chance. And even though he gave me chance after chance, I didn't learn. It wasn't until 2005 when we all got locked up and that I was like, you know what? I don't want this life anymore. I believe before then I was already getting to that point of not wanting that life because it was stressful, and I know doggone well I couldn't live that life in 2022. I would be dead. I remember another incident where it was me and my daughter at home, and we got robbed, but I wasn't at home. God had blessed me. Thank God for listening, and thank God for following your spirit. Me and my daughter had ran to go get something to eat from Sonic, and it's right up the street. We went there and came back. By the time we came back, our house was already broken into. I had already seen Mexicans riding up and down the street anyway, but I kind of figured, because in that life you have to have your mind together anyway. So you already know something is going on, but I didn't know that that's what it was. I just thought maybe they was just scoping the house out. You know, it is what it is. But that's what it was, and God got us up out of there. And when we came back, they had already took whatever they needed, whatever. We wasn't harmed. We didn't see them, and it is what it is. So even in that, I was just thinking, you know, God remembered me. Even in my mess, God remembered me. So even with Hannah praying about wanting to have a baby and couldn't have it, and she just kept on praying year after year, she finally conceived. God remembered her. It doesn't matter how long it's going to take. Just remember, God is not going to forget you. As long as you're doing his will and you're spending your time with him, he's not going to forget you. But it's not going to come overnight. You have to go through the process. You have to go through the process. So I had a few notes that I have written down, and I'm going to read it right now. And it says, sometimes when you get blessed by God, the person that's connected to you also gets the blessing. And I was thinking about her husband. He already had kids, but he also knew the pain that Hannah was going through. Because if you read, you'll see whenever they went to eat or whatever, he'll give his first wife, or I don't even know if it was the first, I can't even remember, one of his wives and the kids food, but he would give Hannah a double portion. So I had to think in my head, why would he give Hannah a double portion? For one, I believe that he felt sorry for her. He felt the pain that she was going through. So I feel, and like this is me, this is what God gave me, that in that I just felt like her husband also was blessed, because he had to be happy and excited knowing that God remembered her. Plus, he actually got to witness the blessing that the Lord had put on Hannah in order for her to have that baby. That's why I say it is vital for you to sit down and just read your word. But as you're reading it, not just one day. Like I read this a whole week. Chapter 1, a whole week, in different versions, commentary, I amplified, just trying to make sure I get the real thing that God is saying to me. And I'm just relaying it to you guys, because maybe you're starting your journey and you've been praying for 5 years. Like I've been praying for a house for years. I just want a house. And I mean, I'm grateful for my apartment, but I mean, you know, it's just time. It's just time to move on. But yeah, maybe you've been praying something so long and you think God has forgotten you, but he hasn't. He remembers. So the second thing I wrote down was, he knew Hannah desired a baby badly. I already said that. Hannah prayed to God, asking him to remember her, and she did. She conceived and had a baby boy. So chapter 1 doesn't state how Hannah's husband felt, but I can imagine that he felt excitement. He was happy for her having being able to conceive. When you're reading, try to put yourself in these people places, because these are real human beings just like us and with real feelings and emotions. Because when Hannah went and prayed to God, she actually was praying in such of a desperation prayer that Eli thought she was drunk, because she was praying in her heart. Her mouth really wasn't having words. Maybe it was like a light whisper, but he seen her lips moving. So he thought she was drunk, but she wasn't drunk. She was tired. Have you ever just been tired where you see everybody else getting blessed but not you? And even with me, day in and day out with me reading, going through my emotions with this, my health and working a job, but at the same time, God remembers you. He's remembering me with all this going on. I'm still waiting in expectation of him to do something. I haven't seen anything yet, but the things that he's doing now is good enough. Any way he blesses you, you should be satisfied. So with that being said, like I said, I basically, for this one, you just need to read that whole chapter and get your nuggets out. Ask God to reveal to you what you need to learn out of that. Because that's what I learned out of that is God remembers, no matter how long it is. When I first moved here, I wanted to work to the hospital. And I've been here now like 7 years. And an opportunity came up and called me to work at the hospital. Like 2 years ago. October, I'll be at the hospital 3 years. And when I got there, honey, I thought, you know, I didn't think the hospital was like that. I'm going to be honest. I did not think the hospital was like that. And then I was on the med-surg floor, and it was a bit much. But one day I remember sitting by the computer as I'm charting. God said, you remember this prayer? And I did. And I said, yes. God didn't forget that prayer that I had prayed coming here in 2012. And here it is, 2019. He's giving me what I asked for. And then when I got it, that's when I say, you know, I got to be careful what I asked for. Because it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. And that's how that's how life is. We pray for something and we don't know exactly how it's going to be. But the other day I spoke with this lady, and she was telling me, and I was talking about a house, because for 3 years I've been trying. And this year right here is the closest I ever been of buying a house. And she was just saying, you know what, Shiga, it's just not your time. Maybe it's not your time. Be careful what you're asking for. Are you really prepared for it? So even though you're praying for whatever it is you're praying for, it's going to come to life. But he got to prepare you for that blessing, making sure that you have the capacity to hold it. So I just wanted to get up here today and just show you that, share that small nugget with you as far as my journey and what God said to me on this week, as far as God remembers you. He remembers me too. No prayer or nothing we're going through is wasted. So read chapter 1 in 1 Samuel. Get your nuggets that you need for yourself, or whatever you can share or help others with. Do that. Because if God remember Hannah year after year that she prayed those prayers, surely He's going to remember us in 2022 with all this mess going on. And I may have been a little all over the place today, but it was so much that I felt whenever I was reading that. And I knew I wanted to tell you a part of my story in that, in my journey. It's especially where I'm coming from. So until next time, you have a good day. Bye.